What started as a routine promotion turned into absolute television chaos when A-list actor Mark Wahlberg confronted Jimmy Kimmel over a joke about his past. The explosive argument that followed became so heated that it ended with security escorting Wahlberg off the set live on air. The studio audience had settled into their seats expecting another typical late-night show filled with laughs and easygoing banter. They were about to witness a complete and utter meltdown, a raw and uncomfortable confrontation that would dominate headlines and conversations for weeks. You are not going to believe the lines that were crossed and the raw emotion on display, so make sure you stick around for the entire story. From the moment Wahlberg walked onto the stage, the atmosphere felt different. He had been a guest on Jimmy Kimmel Live countless times before, usually sharing friendly stories about his Boston roots or his latest action film. But tonight, the air was thick with tension. Kimmel opened with his usual monologue, but there was an aggressive undercurrent to his delivery. When he introduced his guest, a sharp, cynical edge laced his voice. "Please welcome Mark Wahlberg," Kimmel announced with a smirk, "who's here to tell us about his new movie and hopefully not beat anyone up backstage." The audience offered a nervous laugh, but Wahlberg's smile faltered for a moment. He had dealt with jokes about his troubled youth for decades, but something about Kimmel's delivery felt intentionally malicious, rubbing him the wrong way from the very start. Kimmel wasted no time launching his first real attack. "So Mark," he began, leaning back with that familiar smug look, "at 53, when do you think you'll finally retire from pretending to be tough on screen?" Wahlberg's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, but he maintained his composure, offering a professional response about bringing authentic stories to the screen. Kimmel immediately seized on the word, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Authentic stories?" he repeated. "Right, because nothing says authentic like a millionaire actor from Dorchester pretending he's still connected to the streets." The studio fell uncomfortably quiet. Even the band members exchanged uneasy glances. Wahlberg leaned forward, his voice firm, stating that he had always been open about his past and the mistakes he'd made. But Kimmel was relentless and clearly enjoying the tension he was creating. "Oh yes, the redemption arc," he sneered, before crossing a line from which there was no return. "Tell me, Mark, do you think your victims from back in the day watch your movies and think, 'Oh good, the guy who gave me permanent vision problems is now worth $300 million? The direct, cruel reference to his 1988 assault conviction was a shocking and deeply personal blow that violated every norm of professional conduct. The interview had now devolved into a vicious and ugly confrontation. "Jimmy, that's completely inappropriate," Wahlberg said, his Boston accent becoming more pronounced as his anger rose. He reminded Kimmel that he was only 16 at the time, that he served his time, and that he had spent the last 35 years trying to be a better person. But Kimmel, sensing a viral moment, pressed on. "Have you though? Because from where I sit, it looks like you just got rich and famous enough that people stopped caring." Wahlberg stood up, his voice dangerously quiet, and called Kimmel's segment what it was, a hit job. He then contrasted his difficult upbringing, working construction at 4 a.m. to pay for acting classes, with what he called Kimmel's privileged career making prank calls for radio stations. In a desperate attempt to regain control, Kimmel made a catastrophic error, telling Wahlberg he was being too sensitive. But the host's worst, most brutal move was yet to come. With pure malice, he shot back, "At least I never blinded anyone in a racially motivated attack." The words cut through the studio like a knife, and a horrified silence fell over the audience. For a long, tense moment, everyone in the studio held their breath, wondering if Wahlberg would physically explode. Instead, his voice became chillingly quiet and firm. "Get up," he said. When a confused and suddenly nervous Kimmel asked what he meant, Wahlberg's voice boomed through the studio. "Get up, stand up and say that to my face like a man, instead of hiding behind your desk like a coward." Kimmel's bravado finally and completely crumbled. He remained seated, visibly shaking, as Wahlberg's demand echoed through the silent room. The actor then delivered a powerful speech, diagnosing the host's character flaw. "You've spent so many years hiding behind jokes and sarcasm that you've forgotten how to be a real person," he stated with authority. When Kimmel desperately yelled, This is my show! Wahlberg delivered the final devastating judgment. There it is, the real Jimmy Kimmel. Not the funny guy, not the charming host, just an insecure bully who can't handle being called out for his behavior. With that, he began to unclip his microphone, a symbolic act of finality, as the audience, sensing the shift in power, began to applaud him. As Wahlberg walked off the stage, leaving a broken and utterly humiliated host behind, the producers quickly cut to a commercial break. But the damage was irreversible. The confrontation wasn't just a heated argument. It was a public dismantling of a professional reputation. Within minutes, clips of the exchange were spreading like wildfire across social media, with the hashtag number Mark Wahlberg trending as viewers overwhelmingly expressed their support for the actor's principled and dignified stand. Behind the scenes, the fallout was immediate and severe. Network executives were reportedly in emergency meetings, advertisers began pulling their spots from future shows, and representatives for other high-profile guests started canceling their upcoming appearances. So, who do you think was in the wrong? Did Kimmel cross an unforgivable line? Or was Wahlberg being too sensitive? Let us know your verdict in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.